Is a fully automatic turntable a good or a bad thing? Well, if you thought that fully automatic turntables were a thing of the past, well, think again. Dual, which is a company that has been making turntables since the 1930s, is still in the game. And today, we are going to look at the CS-429. Now, I'm not going to jump into a history lesson here. I'll keep it short. Dual, which is a German company, has been involved with the production of turntables for a century. That's a lot of experience. Now, setting the company aside for a moment, back when I first started collecting records in the 1970s, a fully automatic turntable was really the norm. I mean, who had time to set the stylus at the beginning of the record when you had an automatic turntable that could do it for you? And if you were really lazy, you could stack your records so they would automatically drop when a side was finished. Which is why some double album sets from the 1970s will have on disc 1 sides 1 and 4, and on disc 2 sides 2 and 3. You can actually find these today in used record shops. I said I was going to avoid a history lesson, right? So, going back to fully automatic turntables, why is it that they're a bit rare these days, especially when you start getting into the higher end territory of turntables? Why are fully automatics really not present when you start paying a little bit more? Well, it has to do with sound quality. With a manual system, there is nothing complex going on beneath the surface, especially with a belt-driven solution. There's a belt spinning the platter and a stylus to carry the signal back to the phono stage. There's really not much more else to it. Things get way more complex when you introduce automation. As more working parts are added to the equation, there's more chances for vibrations to get to the stylus and affect playback. That's why I was surprised that the CS-429 is out there. And the only reason I did find out about it was because a viewer reached out to me to ask if there were any fully automatic turntables that weren't entry level that I'd recommend. At the time, there wasn't, because that's not what I typically look for in a turntable. So I did a little bit of research. I found out that Dual, in fact, made a fully automatic turntable within the viewer's price range, passed on the information, and then I reached out to Dual to ask if I could take a look at one. And here we are. So they sent me this to check out. Well, would I recommend this? Well, let's dig in. Setting this up was easy. As far as looks go, it's a classic design. You only get one color choice. The plinth itself is solid MDF with a black vinyl veneer, and you also have an aluminum platter that comes with a rubber mat. There's an aluminum tone arm that allows for virtual tracking force adjustments, and also, and this is key, anti-skate adjustments. I checked the tone arm using the Wally skater, and static friction was at a minimal. It tested very well. It comes equipped with an Ortofon 2mm red, and also has a built-in phono stage that can be bypassed. I did listen to that phono stage, by the way. I know everybody knows that I prefer an external phono stage, and I just recently did a video about the one in my system that I absolutely adore. But, that being said, the phono stage on the 429 was adequate. It wasn't much different, I would say, in quality than the one you would find in the Denon 600NE integrated amplifier. I actually have this amplifier in my review room because I've owned it for years, and I do plug it in now and then depending on what's being reviewed. While the built-in will satisfy folks who don't have other options, I did pair the 429 with my Tavish Classic tube phono stage, as well as the iFi Zen Phono 3, which was another good little phono stage that I looked at. Most of my time with the 429 was with it hooked up to an external phono stage to handle the RIAA curve. I was also tempted to swap out the Ortofon red that it came with a spare Ortofon, having a hard time talking today, forgive me, with that spare Ortofon blue stylus that I had laying around. But I'd already kind of mucked around with the out-of-box experience, so I didn't want to change too much, so I just left the Ortofon red in. All that being said, it's really a good thing to note here that the 429 is upgradable. You can swap out the cartridges. The head shell is also removable, and if you do swap out to an upgraded cartridge, the good thing is you have VTF to adjust. Another thing that I'm always concerned with, and I know I harp about this all the time on the channel, is vibrations and resonance. Well, Dual did seek to mitigate this by using a die-cast aluminum platter, a rubber mat, and also the tone arm. The tone arm uses vibration dampers. And like I mentioned, even though this is fully automatic, it is belt-driven, and it uses something called an optical speed control to keep the motor running at the proper speed. So let's talk about the main feature. That's the automatic control that it brings to the table. You have 3 speeds to select from. You've got 33, you've got 45, and you have 78. And the fact that it has a 78 on there actually surprised me. I mean, that used to be standard back in the day. You'd always see 33, 45, and 78. You don't see 78 as much on turntables anymore. So I don't know. I thought that was kind of cool. Now, as far as playing it or as far as operating it, you only have to do 2 things. You place your record on the rubber mat and you hit start. The automatic control places the stylus in the lead-in groove, and then it just completely disengages at that point. It doesn't do anything else until it gets to the end of the lead-out groove, where the control will re-engage and return the tone arm to the cradle. You can also stop play in the middle of a listening session if you need to, or use the cue arm to pause. And that's another thing worth bringing up. Although this is a fully automatic turntable, you can do everything manually if you want, especially starting the record. You can just place it there yourself. But you have to be really quick if you want to catch it before the auto stop functionality kicks in. I tried to do this and I failed miserably because I'm slow and I'm old. So how about the sound? Does it perform? It does, exactly as it should, without giving any of itself to the experience. And by that, I mean it's completely neutral. It has one job: to transcribe information from the grooves with as little interference as possible. And it does this very well, especially for a fully automatic solution. Now, I attribute the neutrality to a couple things. One is the mitigation that Dual put into with their rubber dampening, and also to the Ortofon Red. It may be the entry-level cart in the 2M line, but like I said, you can upgrade it. If you want to go to the Ortofon Blue, you can just buy the stylus. You don't have to buy a whole new cart. The red and the blue are interchangeable. They use the same cartridge housing. And if you don't have an external phono stage, don't sweat it. Don't worry about it. You will still get a good listening experience. It really is a hassle-free unit for those looking for a hassle-free experience. Are there any cons? Well, to be perfectly honest, any cons that I would have are the ones that I bring to the table. That's because I prefer a completely manual experience. But this isn't about me. This is about those folks who are looking for a fully automatic, worry-free vinyl experience. And you most definitely get that with the 429. And if you want to see a recent video I did on a phono stage that I truly love, check this video out. And as always, thank you for watching. And until next time, please take care of yourself and enjoy your records.